Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my Halloween movie review series. Now, before I talk about the movie I'm going to review, so I realize I might not get to all the films I want to do for my Halloween movie review series, just because I only have like a week, well, at least a couple of weeks left to get them all in. But I might not get them all in. But what I'm going to do is, if I don't, I'm going to try to just review as many as I can. Um, But I do want to finish all the Friday the 13th. I want to do all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. I just saw the new Halloween movie today. I'm not going to review it yet. I might wait until I might wait a couple of days just because I want the movie to kind of sink in and kind of think about it a little bit. And then whatever Halloween movie I want to do next, I'll just do one. So pretty much, I'll just try to fit everything in at once. Just because I don't think I'll end up getting to them all. So that's just kind of where I stand. Um, this Halloween movie review series this year was a little bit of a flop because what happened was is I got this big exam, and then like I said, I mentioned it already. I'm not really going to repeat it. I just had a lot of stuff going on this year than I did last year. I do wish, like I said, when I did my Halloween movie rankings video, that I had done the Halloween films this year, and then maybe the Saw films last year instead, and just started off that way. But sometimes things will just work out that way. But now that I've kind of gotten all that bullshit out of the way, let's talk about. Well, I have to talk. I have to get all this bullshit out of the way to talk about more bullshit. So, um, and this is it's a double negative that doesn't turn into a positive. But let's talk about the movie I'm reviewing, which is in the title. It's called Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday. Here's what the DVD looks like. And before I read the info, I did say that I was going to review this movie, I believe yesterday because it was like about to reach midnight when I made the other video. But let me tell you the bullshit that I had to go through to watch this film. Um, so pretty much, I went to play it on my Xbox One, and for some odd reason, my Xbox One would just freeze and wouldn't play the film. I thought it was something that was up with my Xbox because it would not play this film. But I was like, no, there's no way because I just watched Jason Takes Manhattan and I was able to watch that completely fine. Um, but um, I kept trying. I kept trying to watch the unrated version, and then I was like, you know what? Fuck this. And I was trying everything I could for like an hour. Then I tried to watch it off my computer, but then I forgot, well, I don't want to put this in my computer because what happens is the disk tray doesn't quite work on my computer. I can open it, but then I'll put a disk in there and then I can't open it for a while. I had that problem for some of my movies. I have a disc in there right now, and it was just making this weird noise like it was trying to read the disc. And then I tried putting it into my grandmother's computer to watch it, and it wouldn't load the media player. I don't know why, but new computers and stuff don't really want to play DVDs. I really don't know why. It's just the fucking case. And then um, I put it in my DVD player. Well, not only mine, but my grandparents' DVD player. Um, in the TV room. Um, and then what happened was it worked fine. I couldn't watch the trailer. It just went right to the film, and I watched the unrated version. And about like an hour into it, a little over an hour into it, it just started skipping a lot, and I'm like, um, what the hell? So I'm thinking, did I scratch the film? And then I take it out, and there's not a scratch on the film. So I blow it off a little bit just to be safe than sorry. And yeah, I'm gonna check. I don't think there's a scratch on this film. Um, I mean, there's like some scratches, but there's not even like really a scratch on this film. It's in pretty decent condition. And then what ends up happening is I watch the movie off a website, and the website just took forever to load. So by that point, I was hating the film already, anyways, but I was just beyond overwhelmed and beyond annoyed. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do the review a different day. But then I was like, So today's the day. I was too busy to do it earlier in the day, so I'm just doing it now. Um, it's 11:01. I might not get this up until like midnight, so it's gonna be probably tomorrow. So good morning to everyone when you see this video. But yeah, what bullshit I had to go through to watch this fucking movie. It's a bunch of bullshit. It was awful. But yeah, before I actually review the film, go over um, let me read the info guide on the back. Jason Voorhees, the living, breathing incessance of evil, is back for another fierce Flynn, tracked down and blown to bits by a special FBI task force. Special FBI task force. And then it has like a comment because we're supposed to pause after that. Everyone now assumes that he's finally dead, but everyone assumes wrong. Jason has been reborn with the bone-chilling ability to assume the identity of anyone he touches. And it gets to be very bad. I'll explain that in a second. The terrifying truth is he could be anywhere or anybody. In this shocking, blood-soaked installment to Jason's carnage-ridden reign of terror, the secret of his unstoppable killing instinct is finally revealed, and once you know the chilling facts, you'll see him in your nightmares, and he'll see you in hell. Um, and that's pretty much the entire film. Yeah, I'm really not looking forward to talking about this. I'm gonna be not gonna lie. So, what went behind making this film is I didn't mention in the last review in Jason Takes Manhattan that was the last film that was distributed by Paramount Pictures, at least in the United States. Obviously, they would distribute the remake internationally, um, but in the U.S., they haven't distributed one since Jason Takes Manhattan. What happened is producer Sean S. Cunningham, who obviously is behind the original Friday the 13th series, I believe, and he did a lot of the work um, in the Friday the 13th series. Um, Came back to produce it, and um, they were going to originally do it. They were going to do Freddy versus Jason um, in 1993 because this is when this film came out, and but they had a bidding war. Paramount Pictures and New Line Cinema, who owned the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and we actually thought that we were going to get, um, you know, the battle everyone had wanted to see. Obviously, we were supposed to get it at Part 7, but then Paramount Pictures and New Line Cinema couldn't come to an agreement on the terms. So eventually, after outbidding each other, New Line Cinema finally bought out the rights to the Friday the 13th series. However, they didn't buy the rights for the Friday the 13th name. They had to come up with a new name. It's ridiculous, but that's pretty much what happened. They couldn't use the name Friday the 13th. So, I don't really know exactly why though they didn't put the idea in motion though. All it says is New Line Cinema Cunningham's idea for a Freddy versus Jason film. He just said it. I guess it just it was just placed on hold. It doesn't really say you know why, but they used this script to precede the plot line. So this was going to be pretty much used as a build up to the setup for Freddy versus Jason, because obviously the internet wasn't very huge around this time, so probably not a lot of people knew it was coming, but they had to have kind of known it was coming because when they heard New Line Cinema bought out this Friday the 13th, the Friday the 13th series without the Friday the 13th name, maybe it got them thinking. Maybe they started thinking, maybe one day we're gonna get Freddy. We're gonna get Freddy versus Jason. So this kind of opened up the door for that. And I thought he did it very well. And they decided to do that, but they just put that idea on hold. So they went with this instead. So this marked Adam Marcus's debut feature. Um, he was originally supposed to direct My Boyfriend's Back, um, but they didn't want him because he had never directed a film before, so he was dropped from the project. And because he was a lifelong fan of the Friday the 13th series, he developed this stories in which he questioned what would happen if Jason actually did get destroyed, and and wanted to experiment with that because he got the idea from a film called The Hidden from 1978. So initially, the script was written by Jay Hugley, and um, originally that film script was awful, which it's really I'm really concerned if that film script wasn't passed through, that this film was going to be worse than what it was. So they hired Dean Lorry, who had to write the script within 4 days, like completely come up with a new script, and then Leslie Boham was brought in over the weekend to polish up the script. And Louis Abernathy wrote the first opening scene of the film. And then the special effects, I'm just going to read this word for word because I haven't read this ahead of time. The special effects were provided by Al Magalecci and Effects Studio KNB, the former having signed on to the film after friends of his from KNB notified him of its development. The color of the visual effects were chosen by Adam Marcus, which obviously was the director of this film. And that's pretty much the entire thing that went into making this film. Um, and I'm just going to start talking about this film. You can tell my enthusiasm isn't very high for talking about it, so let's talk about it. So, like I said, this was directed by Adam Marcus. It was produced by Sean S. Cunningham and Debbie Hain Cass. The screenplay was written by Jay Hugley and Dean Lorry. The story was written by Jay Hugley, Adam Marcus, and Dean Lorry. It was based on the characters of Victor Miller, which I wonder what Victor Miller would be saying about this film, even though he didn't like the idea of Jason being brought in anyways. And the music was done by Harry Manfredi, I don't know how to say his last name. He's done all the music for every one of these Friday the 13th series. Um, the cinematography was done by Bill Dill. It was edited by David Handman. The production company that distributed this was, no, sorry, the production company that produced this movie was Sean S. Cunningham Films. It was distributed by, like I said, Noon Line Cinema. It was released on August 13th, 1993. And this film had a budget of $3 million. So a lot of money went into making this movie. I just want to say one thing. So movies that get rejected, now obviously movies probably don't just necessarily get rejected because they're bad films, but this kind of scares me that this kind of shows that any film can really be passed through. Halloween 2, the remake, was passed through somehow, and somehow this was passed through. And like I said, this was not the Final Friday. It was a lie. It was a lie within the title, because obviously they went on to make Jason X, and then they did Freddy vs. Jason, which you could say is an uncanon version of it, and then they did the remake. So it was not the final Friday the 13th franchise, film in the franchise. So let's talk about this piece of trash. All right, so I don't really want to spend a lot of time talking about it. I might not even go through as in depthly because this film, I'm just going to say right now, is trash. This film is a piece of crap. Um, not as bad as Halloween 2, the remake, but it's the worst Friday the 13th film in the franchise. Now, I'm saying I don't like Jason X either, but I haven't seen that since in like about 6 years, so I really can't say it's the worst one yet because maybe my um, maybe my perspective has changed with the way I see films. That one's really bad too, from what I remember, but I don't remember exactly how bad it is. So right now, I'm just gonna say how bad this one is. This film's trash. This film is just awful. It really ruins Jason Voorhees, and I always questioned why Jason Voorhees. I'm gonna give away Freddy versus Jason, but why Jason Voorhees looked so much stronger, like in Freddy versus Jason. Well, they did a lot of damage to his credibility um, going into that fight. He had to get all the kills. He had to win that fight because Freddy, he was fine. Robert Englund, that was his last film, anyways. So why not give Jason the win? Because Jason needed it really, really bad. And it's films like this. Um, it's kind of funny sometimes how um, yeah, it's kind of funny sometimes how Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees are like the two big, and even Chucky from um, the Chucky films. How they're like big. I wouldn't really. I guess I shouldn't really say Chucky though, because he's not as big as Jason or Michael Myers. How they're big horror movie icons, but they're in a lot of bad films, especially Jason. You have New Beginning. I can't really say that that's a bad film because he's not even in it. But you have A New Beginning, which isn't a good film. You have Jason Takes Manhattan. Now you have this, and then you have Jason X, and then you have, well, I guess four bad films, but you have three, which is just an okay film. So I guess I can't really trash that too much, but the 3D effects were really bad in that. So, but oh my gosh, this film sucks. So let's talk about it. I'm not even gonna go through it as in depthly, so because it's a waste of time. So I want to talk about how bad Jason looks in this film first. So Jason, I usually commend the Jason design. That's pretty easy to get right too. It's pretty hard to fuck up the Jason design. He looks really good. In the second one, he looks really good in the third one. Well, I should say he looks good in the third one, and he looks good in the second one. Not great. He looks fantastic in Part 4. He looks very good in Part 6. He looks good in Part 7. He doesn't look, you know. Actually, I should say he looks okay. Obviously, the makeup could have been done a little bit better. I think he looks fine too in Part 8. Um, but he looks awful in this film. It's pretty much Jason, but let me see if I can show you in the webcam. You might not see it because it's the glare, but it's like his skin is like all over his face, and he just looks awful. So, I can't believe we got to talk about this. Um, I need to get the person's name, but we meet um, Agent Abernathy, who's well, I probably shouldn't have said that she was an agent now that I think about it, because we I just realized I just gave away that part, but pretty much she goes to Camp Crystal Lake. She stays there, and the light bulb goes out when she goes in, and um, she thinks she overhears someone, and then she runs away from Jason. She runs into the woods after she was about to take a shower, and um, Jason chases after her, and then he gets led to like a bunch of football stadium type of spotlights and stuff like that, and the FBI kill Jason. They shoot him a ton of times, and he explodes into a million pieces. Um, but his heart is still beating. Remember that because that becomes very important in the Friday the 13th. Well, that becomes very important in this film. Now, why I messed this up because when we watched the movie at the time, that was the twist. We didn't actually know that she was an agent, but because I don't give a fuck about reviewing this film, um, I just fucked up. Now, obviously, there's a logic flaw in this. In Part 7, a house was blew up. Now, I know you could say a house blowing up and getting shot a ton of times is different, but I would imagine there would be about the same effects considering the fact that, you know, um, Friday the 13th, the Friday the 13th series, get your house exploded, you would go into a million pieces because later on in Part 8, he comes back and he's in one piece, and here he's in a million pieces. What happens is he gets taken to the morgue, um, and we meet Phil, who is working on him, and he's doing he's doing a count of his body, what you would do at a morgue. Um, and what happens is he checks his heart, and he finds that there's no blood in there, just this black stuff in there that becomes important in the film. And the heart starts beating, and he gets hypnotized by this heart. And um, Phil eats the heart, and that's not even the stupidest thing that happens in this film. I don't know why I call it these films. They're not. It's not a film strip. It's a movie, but I like to call it films. I don't know. I'm probably gonna call it movies, films until the day I die. I always kind of call them films. Um, yeah, he eats the heart of Jason Voorhees, and all these like red orbs, I'm gonna call them, I guess, go into him as if he's being possessed by Jason. And his partner Ed walks in, um, and realizes that he can say whatever he wants to Jason and wants to make fun of him. And then Phil, who we find out is being taken over by Jason, um, slits his throat with something. I don't really care enough to look. I didn't care enough to look back with what it was, but it was some sort of like injection that you would use to cut open a body or something. And we find out that this is Jason. And Phil, who's being portrayed by Jason, walks out, and there was these two guys that you know were making fun of everybody and would ID everybody every time they go in. We find out Jason kills them off camera, and then it takes us to America Cracked That File or Crack That Case. I don't remember the name of the show. And we meet um, who it's being run by Robert Campbell or Campbell. I don't know how you say his last name, which is really bad because I worked with someone with that last name and I still haven't figured out how to say it. But like I said, I'm in no fucks given mood too, so I'm just trying to get through this as quickly as I can. We meet Creighton Duke. I gotta say, Stephen Williams did a great job as Creighton Duke. He was like the highlight of the film. And he's a bounty hunter. Um, I did hear they originally gave him like a backstory, um, and like his girlfriend was killed by Jason. He was unable to save her, and that made him a bounty hunter. And his ultimate goal was to kill Jason, but I don't think they used that in the film. Um, and he reveals that Jason isn't dead. That Jason he says that knows a way to kill Jason, but he doesn't give it away because everything has to come at a price, and he offers 5 million or 50 million. I think it was 5 million. I don't remember, but it was a lot of money to kill Jason. But he has to. But Robert Campbell says that he has to prove that his Jason is alive. But he doesn't reveal it because obviously this is a movie. They want you to be left with suspense. And back at the diner, we meet this girl, Diana um, Grimble, and she's a waitress at a diner. We meet the owner, Joey, and they're doing like 2-for-1 burgers with the shape of Jason's hockey mask. What doesn't make any sense about this is they've gone to Camp Crystal Lake for years, and I guess people are always worried about the murders to begin with, but why now did the FBI do something about this? That's such a big logic flaw. Stupid. Um, it's stupid. Like they open the camp every year and let the people die. I guess it's better than that, but it's like, ugh. But um, yeah. Um, Duke tries to confront Diana because he wants her help to kill Jason, but she thinks that Jason's dead, and then he's being really rude to her, and um, He gets arrested by her boyfriend Josh, who's a police officer. Um, Deputy Josh, and he's a deputy there too. That's important to mention. And then Diana runs into Stephen Freeman, which I don't think he's related to Morgan Freeman, but whatever. And we find out that he dated her daughter, and they had a kid together. I wasn't supposed to tell you that yet, but like I said, I don't give a fuck. So, um, and she says that if you want to patch things up with Jessica, come to my house tonight. We'll talk about it, and don't be late. It was very dumb, like romance angle they went through. And then Steven picks up these three like college students Deborah, Luke, and Alexis. Um, and I do want to say that um, the way that college kids act in these Friday the 13th films, I never really see any college kids act that way. Maybe because I'm not hanging around with the white college kids. Maybe I'm hanging out with the white college kids. So I don't know. But they're going to Camp Crystal Lake because Jason's dead. So they wanted to celebrate. So Steven drops him off. And, it is what it is. They hitchhiked. So yeah. But we find out that Jason, who's betraying Paul, was Phil betrayed by. I don't know why I said Paul. I'm just fucking mad. Phil, who was betrayed by Jason. Yeah, that would be right actually. So they go skinny dipping. They have a lot of fun. Deborah and Luke have sex in the tent, and Alexis goes in the woods to do something, and Jason kills her off screen. Should we find her like strapped to the tree because Deborah goes out to take a piss, and we see that happen. And then as Luke and Deborah are having sex, Jason cuts through the tent and kills her with a spike pole or something. I don't know, but it was a nice kill, I guess. It was fine. And Luke gets killed off camera. Um, and then Diana feeds the dog, like just some random dog that the restaurant has, and we find out that Joey's married to Edna, and yeah, I guess he's having an affair. And Jason is watching from the woods, and he closes the door onto Edna's head, and he kidnaps Josh, and he straps him to he takes him hostage, and he shaves him. Um, and we see that he does something to Josh, but we don't exactly see what he does to him. So then what happens is um, Diana's back in her house, and she gets a call from Jessica. We find out that she has a kid named Stephanie, and she's going to visit next weekend. And then we also find out that she's dating Robert Campbell, who's on that TV show from the beginning. I don't know. So then, as she's on the phone, Deputy Josh, who's now at this point being portrayed by Jason, hangs up the phone, so that way he can kill her. And Deputy Josh attempts to do that, but he doesn't attempt to do that. He forces her to the ground because, and this black stuff comes out of his mouth, and tries to put it inside of Diana's mouth. But Steven comes in and puts a stop to all this stuff, and Jason throws the knife and kills Diana, and Steven stabs Josh right through the back with some sort of spike. It was like one of those fire things that you use to point in the fire, and throws Jason out the window. And he thinks this is Josh just killing him, just killing her. And he tells the something about it. He tells somebody about it. Sheriff Landis. He tells the sheriff. I couldn't think of the name of that. And the sheriff doesn't believe him, and when he sees that Josh isn't there, he gets all freaked out. I think this was supposed to be like a callback to Halloween 1 because this is the same thing happens to Michael Myers where they look out and Michael Myers like disappears. So yeah. Now that I think about it, I'll talk about that in a different video. Now that kind of doesn't make any sense. But anyhow, then what was the next thing I talked about? All right, so then he gets arrested. He tries to tell what happens, but nobody believes him. Randy, who's like one of his friends, wants to look this up, so Steven gets locked away, and then we meet Jessica, who's decent looking, and we meet Vicky. She's gonna watch the baby. I did like this scene. So Steven comes face to face with Creighton Duke, and he believes that Steven didn't kill Diana because he knows that Jason did it. And he wants information about why Jason is going after Diana. And Clayton Duke's whole thing is that everybody has to pay a price, and because he knows he's not going to have any money because they probably took it all when he got arrested, um, he has to pay the price. So he has him put his hands on the jail cell, and he breaks Steven's fingers to give him information. Um, and he continuously does this anytime he wants to give him any information. I know this scene was a little goofy, but I thought a well done scene. It was the best scene in the whole film. Well, the second best scene in the whole film. Um, so what we find out from this is that um, Jason isn't just the body that you see throughout every movie. Um, when Jason dies and he wants to overtake another body, so what happens is as he takes over new bodies, as he takes over bodies, the other ones start to not last long, so he has to continuously find a new body. But he wants Jessica because and like the whole um, Kimball family because apparently we found out that Jason had a sister, and it was Diana. Now this doesn't make any sense because in the first film, Pamela Voorhees talked about how she only had one son, but they didn't really explain why he has a sister. I'm because she said my only child. So what I'm thinking is maybe the father had another kid, and it's like half brother, or because that's the only way this can really make sense. But they didn't really address that, so I think they should have addressed that because it would have made it all make sense. But that they I was just gonna kind of roll with it because this is like the least idiotic thing that happens in the film, so I was alright with kind of suspending my disbelief. But we find out that, and he needs Diana, Jessica, or Stephanie, who's the baby, to form his new body. Um, and since Diana's dead, Jessica and Stephanie are the only ones that he's gonna go after. So we find out that the only way to kill Jason is through another Voorhees. Um, and that's why Jessica and Stephanie, but Stephanie's not gonna be able to kill because she's like not even a year old. Um, Jessica is the one that's being able to kill Jason. So, um, yeah. So then Steven wants to go to the Voorhees house because he has to find proof that Jessica actually is related to Jason. Um, and he breaks out of jail because he lies that Clayton just broke his fingers for no reason. He holds Randy gunpoint. He forces him to open the cell. He locks him in the cell. And he goes to the restaurant, and Wade, who works at the restaurant, gives him the keys so he can go to the house. And I'm just going to talk about this all at once. When he goes to the house, he tries to find proof that Jessica's related to Jason, but before he can, he overhears Robert, and we find out that Robert's not a very good guy because he stole Diana's body and stuff to create ratings for his TV show. It really doesn't matter because what happens is Josh, who's betrayed by Jason, comes in and attacks Josh. No, sorry, attacks Robert and possesses him. It looked like he was making out with him, but he possesses Robert, and then Josh's body melts into nothing. It was really stupid. It looked awful. And then Jason has now possessed Robert. So we know that Robert's gonna go after um what's her name, Jessica. So I did like I guess we got to see the Voorhees house because that's something I guess people have always kind of questioned. So that was kind of cool, I guess. Um, so then what happens is Robert, who's portrayed by Jason, goes to attack Jess, but then Steven prevents him from attacking her. I don't really remember how, and I'm not looking it up. And he drives her away, and he runs over Robert, who's portrayed by Jason. Um, and then um, he tries to tell Jess everything that's going on, but Jess doesn't believe him. She attacks him, throws him out of the car, and she goes to tell the police that she ran into Steven, and Randy catches him. They get into this bad fight, and you would think since Randy is a cop, he would be able to kick Steven's ass, but that's not what happens. And when he hears that Jessica's at the station, he wants to go to the station because I guess he realizes he'll be able to protect her, so he gets arrested. And when Jessica goes to get new clothes on, Robert, who's portrayed by Jason, breaks into the police station, and he kills one of the cops by like throwing him over the desk. And he goes to attack Jess. He throws one of the police officers into the locker and smashes her head. And he goes to attack, and Sheriff Landis see this go down, and he tries to go after him and shoot him, and Jason elbows him and like breaks his nose and knocks him the fuck out. And then Jessica elbows Jason in the ribs and tries to escape from him, and Jason tries to possess her. And then Steven just happens to walk by, and he knocks out Randy, and Jason shoots. I'm sorry, no. Steven shoots Jason, and obviously doesn't kill him because when they leave, all the police officers try to tend to him. Jason bangs their heads together, and one of the other cops runs away from him. And due to all this commotion, Creighton takes him out and escapes from jail. And then they go back to the restaurant to get Stephanie because Vicky was watching him, and Joey, who owns the restaurant, holds them at gunpoint and forces Steven and Jess back, and they send Ward out there to go to the police station because they couldn't call him because the lines were dead. And Jason comes over and he bends Ward's arms back and throws him into the door of the entrance. And what's her name? Jess hits Joey with that napkin holder that you would see in any type of restaurant. And they try to go get their baby, and Jason's able to use this commotion, and Jason drowns Cookie, who's like one of the cooks there, into the water, and Joey tries to stop him, and Jason elbows her in her face implants, which looked cool. And he throws Joey into like a stack of pots, and then we find out that the baby's not there. Vicky tries to do everything she can to kill Jason, but Jason kills her with like a spike, and then what's his name? Steven kills Jason. I don't even remember how. I don't care. And just abruptly leaves, and Steven realizes that Creighton Duke left a note that told him to come, that told Jess to come to the Voorhees house alone because I have your baby. So Creighton Duke wants Jess to kill Jason because he doesn't care about the money. He doesn't want Jess and the baby to be put in danger, and Jason's going to keep coming after them unless she does something about it. And he throws her the dagger, and the dagger turns into like some supernatural shit. It was really ridiculous. So then Randy and Sheriff Lewis come in, Sheriff Landis, sorry, and they do this whole thing where Jess doesn't know which one to shoot, and Jason's house is really old, so so Creighton Duke falls through the boards because that happens a lot, and what ends up happening is he gets his legs stabbed into like a spike, and Creighton tries to tell him to kill them both, but she doesn't kill any of them, and she ends up killing Sheriff Landis, and we find out that Jason was actually Randy. Somehow Jason's able to speak. It's really ridiculous. And he tries to possess her baby, but Sheriff Landis, I'm sorry, Randy, portrayed by Jason, fighting her off, and Steven comes in and slices his throat, and Jason's heart, which is like an insect, like an insect alien. Looked so stupid. It was just, oh my gosh, this is just ridiculous. I don't know what's more stupid, this or that thorn cult they did in the Halloween episode 6. But number 6. I don't. Curse of Michael Myers. I don't fucking. But then we find out that Jason doesn't have to control um, a live Kimball to be able to reform back to his original body. Um, so Jason becomes Jason again, and I guess he clawed up Diana's dead corpse vagina, I guess, because that was implied. And Jason becomes Jason again, and they have to get the dagger. And it was cool to see Jason turn into Jason again, but like I said, Jason just looks so bad in this film. So Clayton tries to distract him, so because the dagger falls through underneath the dresser, and they have to get it. And Jason bear hugs him and squeezes the life out of him, literally. Um, so then he attacks Jess, but then Steven fights off with Jason, and the dagger falls through the boards, and Jason and Steven get into a fight, and Steven actually holds his own against Jason, which was really stupid because this was supposed to be Jason like strong. Wasn't this the whole point? Well, so Jason would be like really strong, but yeah. He tries to hit Jason with an iron rake, an edger, but Jason doesn't have any effect by it. He throws him into like this jungle gym thing and tips it over, and Jason's about to kill Steven, and then Diana pops up behind him. No, not Diana. Jess pops up behind him and stabs the dagger right through him. But Jason does, and then all like the souls start to come out of him. But Jason doesn't die from this. I guess the dagger had to go all the way through him. They didn't really explain that in the film, so Steven continues to attack Jason, and then she kicks the dagger right through Jason, and all these hands pop out and pull Jason under. It was really bad special effects. And Jess and Steven ride into the sunset with a happy ending. It was really cheesy, but they ride into the sunset in a happy ending, which New Line Cinema doesn't understand. That's not how a Jason film's supposed to go. You don't. It's not supposed to be this happy ending at the end. But they live happily ever after. But then the film gets awesome. Now, if you you get to sit through this bullshit, and you know you sit through the whole bullshit just for this ending, where a dog comes in and digs up Jason's hockey mask, and who pulls Jason under? None other than Freddy Krueger. Freddy's Krueger claw pops out and pulls Jason right into the grave. And this excited everybody. This is when everybody knew one day we were getting Freddy versus Jason. And I gotta say, even though I know how that went, even though, even though I had to sit through this shitty movie, it was worth it. Kind of gives you that one thing that leaves you with that cliffhanger that says, one day we're gonna see Freddy versus Jason. That part was awesome. Whole film's trash. The best parts about this film really is Clayton Duke's character and some of the kills by Jason. But yeah, this film's trash. I really don't really know, like, Jason is a freaking. They tried to make Jason into supernatural thing, and they did a lot of this bad special effects, and he had some weak characters. It was just not a good film. You had some awful scenes. You know, and like I said, I think about this type of stuff, and I'm kind of wondering, how do these films get passed? Somehow they do. And the critics, they obviously show previews of these movies before the fans see them. The critics must like them enough because the critics trash them when they come out, but it's just ridiculous. They have, it must please somebody because, I don't know. This film, letter grade, this film is an F. It's awful. And now I gotta watch Jason X, and I don't remember how that is, honestly. It's pretty damn bad though. But this film's bad. It was not worth sitting through the end to get to the ending scene. I'll tell you that. It's if you really want to, I would say don't even watch this film. I would say watch it for the ending scene. But if you have the DVD, just go to the chapter selection or the scene selection, whatever they call it, and just skip to the end. Watch the clip. Don't even waste your time buying the DVD. Watch, you know, watch the find the clip online because it's online somewhere. So yeah, this film is not worth the watch. It wasn't worth that bullshit I had to go through to even finish the film. This is my stepmom's favorite Friday the 13th, and I don't understand why. It's like why my friend likes Halloween 5 so much. Some people are just weird sometimes. But let's take a look. They have an in hindsight thin. So here's the retrospect insight. I'll read this word for word. In November 2017, Marcus, the film's director, revealed that an overlooked plot point of the movie is that Jason Voorhees is actually connected to the Evil Dead franchise, which I do like that franchise. It's a good franchise. The filmmaker stated Pamela Voorhees makes a deal with the devil by reading from the um, Necroman, Necromancon, I don't know how to read that word, to bring back her son. This is why Jason isn't Jason. He's Jason plus the Evil Dead. And now I can believe that he can go from a little boy that lives in a lake to a full grown man in a couple of months to zombie Jason to never being able to kill this guy. That to me is way more interesting as a mashup, and Rami loved it. It's not like I could tell New Line my plan to include the Evil Dead because they don't own the Evil Dead, so it had to be an Easter egg, and I did focus on it. There was a whole scene that includes the book, and I hope people would get it and could figure out that's what I'm up to because Steven looks through the book when he goes to the house. So yes, in my opinion, Jason Voorhees is a did it. He's one of the Evil Dead. In December 2017, Malcolm revealed Creighton Dukes. So this is like a I pretty much just already went through this, so I'm not. Well, Creighton Duke intended backstory: a teenage Creighton was out on Crystal Lake with his girlfriend. Jason capsized the small boat and pulled the girl down to the lake. Creighton tried to save her but could not. And then she was never seen again. Creighton vowed revenge from that point on it. He spent his life in the study and pursuit of Jason. He became a bounty hunter just to find his work in taking down his nemesis. Although they never say that in the film. I'm just saying. Let's go over the release. Like I said, when the movie opened, it opened to 1,355 screens. It made $7.6 million in box office. Its opening weekend, and the film grossed a domestic total of $15.9 million, placing it number 86 on the list of the year's top 100 owners. I'm guessing what happens is the trailer, when you watch it, doesn't show you really any of this stuff, so they were misled. But I'm guessing the Friday the 13th fans, they're gonna see any when there's Jason there. Those loyal fans are gonna see Friday the 13th regardless. But I mean, this one didn't do as bad as Jason Takes Manhattan. The critics tear this film apart just as well as the fans. There are all those fans out there that like this film, but I just want to say that if this is all to just the Friday the 13th fanboys, just because it's a Friday the 13th film doesn't mean it's a good film. Just like the same thing with Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Chucky, Saw, you name it. Just because it's one of those franchises doesn't instantly make it a good film. There are bad films, and yeah, this is a bad film. I gotta say though, this is not as bad as Halloween 2, the remake. I think that's much worse. But this is pretty damn bad. It's got to be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. So, whenever I watch this film, like I said, this film gets an F. Now, obviously, if I give the next one an F, the next film an F, because I don't really want to do F plus and F minuses because that doesn't exist. So, films will just get flat out Fs. So yeah. But But yeah, that's about all I have to say about this. Now let's watch crappy Jason X. But thank you guys for watching this video. Leave your thoughts in the comments of what you thought of it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content. Click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. Do the same thing for my CM Brothers YouTube channel because I'm going to upload a video on that tomorrow. I do want to say too, oh, I forgot to go over the cast. Let me go do that real quick. And then I'll end off the video. Alright, so John D. LeMay played Stephen Freeman, and if you want to know what other stuff he's been in, you can just look it up. Carrie Keegan played Jessica Kimball. Stephen Williams played Creighton Duke. Allison Smith played Vicky, who was one of the restaurant employees. Erin Gray played Diana Kimball. Stephen Cope played Robert Campbell. Rusty Schwimmer played Joey B. I don't remember who he is. Oh, he was, actually, I don't remember who he is, honestly. Leslie Jordan played Shelby. Billy Greenbush played Sheriff Landis. Kane Hodder played Jason Voorhees, FBI guard, and Freddy Krueger's Claw. Because when Freddy Krueger pops out, it's not Robert Englund's voice, it's somebody else's voice. Andrew Bloch played Deputy Josh. Kip Marcus played Randy Polka. Richard Giant played Phil the Corner, which was, the guy that Jason possessed first. Adam Craner played Ward. Julie Michaels played Elizabeth Malkus. I don't remember who she is, honestly. James Gelson played Agent Abernathy. Dean Laurie played Eric Pope. I don't remember who he is. I remember who he is now. Adam Malkus played Officer Bish. I don't remember who he is. Marcus Thomas played Officer Moke. Don't remember who he is. Brian Phillips played Officer Brian. Don't remember who he is. Blake Conway played Officer Endell. Don't remember who he is. Madeline Curtis played Officer Ryan. Don't remember who he is. Paul Devine played Paul. Kind of remember who he is. Michelle Clooney played Deborah. Michael B. Silva played Luke. Catherine Atwood played Alexis. I think that's how you say that name. And Jonathan Penner played David. And Brooke Scheider played Stephanie Krimble, but you never see her again because it doesn't have a Wikipedia page for her. So that's my review. I'm ending this video off. I have to watch shitty ass Jason X, so let's just get that torture over with.